What's up with it? You locked in with the Armchair All American. I'm in the man cave, T Lee. Finna get into Texas's win over Wyoming. Listen, man, I didn't do much recording last week. Wasn't much to talk about besides Colorado whooping up on Nebraska and Texas taking down Alabama. And everybody and their mama had something to say and had an instant reaction video to Texas and Nebraska win. I kind of had a feeling that we would learn more about both teams this week after they play, regardless of the outcome. Um, Alabama had their struggles against South Florida and their quarterback, but that's another video that y'all could be on the lookout for. I got my own feelings and opinions about that one, but this one's focusing on Texas and their win over Wyoming. Texas gets the win, 31-10, in a game that was much closer than the final score would indicate. Wyoming had a game plan that I want to respect the opponent and say that they executed it well, but just knowing the Texas defense that we've seen in the first 2 weeks of the season versus Rice and Alabama, tonight just kind of felt like they were allowed to execute their game plan. I don't know if it was having a different starter, the Svoboda kid instead of Peasley. Peasley didn't play at all. I guess they felt like playing it safe with his injuries and everything from prior games. Um, but yeah, I mean, what they were doing was very simple, very straightforward. They were inside zone from various angles and various formations, but it was inside zone. And in the passing game, they weren't taking any shots downfield. Everything was either at the sticks or 5 yard out or something, a release to a safety valve tight end type of setup. So they had a very straightforward game plan, and it seems like they intended on chewing up the clock, taking advantage of the new time rules, and hanging in as long as they could. And if they were there in the end for plays to be made and possibly still in a win, they were going to try to do that. But if not, I think they were okay with that too. I mean, you could just look at kind of the way they played their final couple possessions. Once the game kind of got away from them, they didn't change anything about their approach. I think they got on their plane back to Wyoming thinking that they accomplished what they came down here to do. Hats off to them. Very tough team. No quit. A lot of high effort guys. Um, I think a respectable Mountain West opponent. Somebody that you probably don't want to open your season up against. In the case of like a Texas Tech or anything, and somebody who you look as you move forward in the season and you're a Texas fan and you're possibly keeping track of them, you might not be surprised if you see them near the top of the Mountain West standings or even at the top of the Mountain West standings. But all in all, as a Texas fan coming off of a win versus Alabama, the biggest win in the program in a decade plus, since 2009, there was a slight letdown for me. I wanted to see if we turn that corner to being back to really dominating games that we are capable of dominating. And in similar fashion to Rice, we had a dominant second half versus Rice as opposed to dominating the game. Tonight, on paper, I would say Wyoming's a little bit better than Rice, but who knows? I think they might play a good contest. But tonight we had a dominating quarter, fourth quarter, albeit the most important one. But tonight we just dominated the quarter, um, and basically the same thing we did last week against Alabama. So I just kind of wanted to see a level or a level of program maturation. I'm not going to call my players insecure or anything like that. They executed what was given to them to the best of their abilities. But just overall, a program maturation moment for me would have been Texas coming out and getting a fairly comfortable and more entertaining win. You got the light shows and everything that Del Conte was introducing. It was a night game, a sellout crowd, a lot of energy from the day's festivities and everything. So I think people kind of came in expecting a show and didn't get that. So I could respect it being a possible letdown. And again, I was a little bit let down, but just kind of getting into it, with a final score of 31-10, you kind of look into it and try to understand like why was the score 31-10 and why was the score 10-10 going into the fourth quarter. Well, we start off at the quarterback position. Quinn Ewers didn't have a good game, 11 of 21 for about 136 yards, I believe, with three touchdowns, two on the ground, and he ran one in. Um, but for me, if I'm evaluating Quinn's performance, it looks like it just kind of got off to a shaky start. I don't know if he was disinterested in the game plan or just not clicking with the receivers. We had some early drops, and Quinn just kind of does this if he has early drops and things aren't clicking early, and the game plan isn't there to consistently attack and try to push the ball down the field. And that reared his head again tonight. So but he did have a moment that kind of I told some friends, remember this play in December for Texas when it was a goal to goal situation and we got stopped on a third down. Um, and no, I mean it was a goal to go situation. I'm not sure if it was third down or whatever, but Ewers they put him on a sprint out. I'm sure he was looking for J.T. Sanders. That was covered up. The running back was covered up, and he just took it upon himself to tuck it and go. And it was some traffic that he was going to have to navigate in order to get the touchdown. And he kind of put his head down and fought through. He got over the goal line or whatever, got the six, and he got up, showed a lot of passion, spiking the football and everything. His teammates, his O line celebrating with him. All the guys were happy. Texas was, creating some separation, and you could tell like, okay, we're gonna win the ball game. Well, it wasn't about that moment sealing a win for Texas. It was about that moment showing that Quinn was still competing at a high level in spite of the game not going the way I'm sure he would have hoped, and for sure him not getting the numbers that I'm sure he might have anticipated possibly having this week. So when you see that level of maturation from your quarterback and that type of leadership of saying like, hey, I'm not having the best night, I'm not putting up the craziest numbers, but I'm still giving everything I got and putting it all on the line to ensure that this team is successful. Those are the things that I look at, and I can buy into the fact that you're rallying the team on the sideline heading into the fourth quarter, that you're calling a players only meeting early in the week after a poor practice. Those are the things that I can buy into, and I can get behind. Um, and just overall looking at his performance further, um, you know, he had some throws that I'm sure he wishes he had back, and he had some where I'm sure he wishes his receivers had made plays for him. But that's part of the game, and so being able to fight through that, stay engaged, and stay locked in, and do the things necessary in order for us to get the win was pretty good on Quinn's part. I'll give him a C. Um, and I think for me personally, a C is not performing anywhere near as good as you can. It's just kind of like, okay, you did enough, and that's kind of what Quinn got. Offensively, the offensive line, Hayden Connor had some ill-timed penalties that kind of killed drives or didn't even allow them to get started. I wonder, if moving forward, Netu Umeozulu doesn't get more snaps. at that left guard position next to Kelvin Banks. But we'll see. Again, the run game did get going. Um, I think total nearly 200 yards rushing tonight. So, it's not like the offensive line didn't do their job. It just kind of took a while. But that you could kind of point towards Sark's play calling. Um, it's kind of erratic in my opinion, as opposed to being more straightforward, kind of in the vein as Wyoming. I think Sark should have just come out, establish the line of scrimmage, and take a more straightforward approach to moving the ball down the field. Once he saw that Quinn maybe didn't have the best rhythm tonight, kind of alter your approach and get to your run game installed and get it done that way. But again, I don't have any knowledge of what the game plan was or if there was anything that Wyoming put on film that maybe they hadn't shown or maybe they didn't anticipate as an offensive staff. Coaches like to lean on that um, as an excuse or just as something that they present to the public after the game is over as why they didn't perform or why a certain thing didn't get accomplished or why a certain thing didn't happen. And sometimes I buy it, sometimes I don't. Um, I think this is one of those cases where I think Wyoming is well coached enough and talented enough to possibly do something like that and give Texas fits. You just wish that Texas was to a level to respond better, and that even applies to the headset. So, Sark didn't really do it for me tonight either. But we got the win defensively. PK. Um, I didn't necessarily feel like he had a winning approach either. It looked a lot like the 2022 Texas defense that kind of sat back and just let plays happen in front of them and bend, don't break, but break a little, and you're on the field for 17 plays at a time and 8 minutes at a time and things of that nature. Like, this looked a lot like that. And with the new clock rules, of course, that could be a very dangerous game to play because you look up and you're 10-10 going into the fourth quarter against a talented and capable Wyoming team. So, um, that was one that I was surprised that we played the defense that way, and our coverage was a little soft on the edges, and kind of surrendering yards and everything when we have the depth in the secondary that we do, and we have the pass rushes that we do. I thought playing it that way was kind of a circumstance rather than an option that was chosen. And tonight kind of proved to be otherwise. So I don't know. It was a lackluster performance all around, but it was a weird Saturday all around. And Texas was able to come out of it 3-0. I know a lot of teams wish that they could say that they are 3-0. I know a lot of teams, Texas teams, since 2012, that wish that they could say that they were 3-0 and ranked in the top five of the country. So it's not necessarily a matter of me complaining or being unhappy. And I'm satisfied with the win for sure, but just in evaluating, the game from just in a vacuum, there were some things that were slightly disappointing. I think Texas will be back to the drawing board and preparing for a road conference opener in Waco versus Baylor in prime time on ABC. And so, I'm sure they'll perform better and they'll be up to the task next week. I don't have any doubts about this team's capability of reaching their goals moving forward. But you just kind of know, okay, this is what it looks like when they're probably playing their C game and potentially even D game. This is what it looks like. So it's a little uncomfortable, a little unsettling, but not anything that has me shaking, not anything that has me having any doubts about what this team can be and what they can do. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm looking forward to the Baylor game. Looking forward to seeing how we perform next week, and ready to get back at it. Monday get shows up, and then it's Saturday all over again. So, you don't have any time to really dwell on this with too much. Look at the tape, get better, take the coaching, take it to the film room, take it to the practice field, get your reps in, install, and go execute the game plan next week, man. So, that's my Texas take. I appreciate y'all rocking with me. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you turn on your alerts. Make sure you hit that like button. Again, I appreciate the community we building. I love college football. I love the Texas Longhorns. It's the Armchair All American, man. Hook 'em.